Welcome to
Friday with Friends.
Friday with Friends is our opportunity to talk about the real estate market, answer any questions you may have, so that if you have any real estate needs, we'd love the opportunity to be your realtor of choice.
We have a great topic today. Today we are talking all about 2023 stats, where we ended out the year, and some predictions as we look towards 2024.
Yes, and so the numbers that we're going to be giving, so we primarily represent clients in Monroe and Ontario County, as well as the outskirts of those surrounding counties. So we're just going to use Monroe and Ontario as just a quick little way, and if you want some more specific information on your county, we'd love to be able to give that to you, so never hesitate to reach out.
Yeah, absolutely. Or if you're looking for more specifics about your town, neighborhood, things like that, reach out to us as well.
Yes.
So let's jump right into median sales price over 2023. So in Ontario County, the median sale price in 2023 was $270,000. That's up year over year from 2022. It was at $245,000. So that's an increase of 12.4%.
And in Monroe County in 2022, the median sale price was $210,000, and in 2023 was $235,000. So in Monroe County, the median sale price increased by almost 12%.
Yep. So we're right around 11 to 12% in both Monroe and Ontario County. Increase in sale price year over year.
And so that means if you own a home, your equity is increasing. Yeah. And so that is great to know if you're looking to sell, or if just to be able to know what your net worth is, and that your net worth is growing as a result of your asset, your biggest financial asset to be able to grow as well. So it's really great news for our homeowners out there.
Absolutely. Now let's look at closed sales. So as those prices increase, generally that means that our closed sales decrease. And that's what we saw again over the last year.
Good old supply and demand.
Supply and demand, exactly. Econ 101, right?
So Ontario County, so in 2022, we had 1,290 sales close, and in 2023, we only had 1,023 sales close. Yeah. So that's a decrease of 20%. So 20% less homes sold in general in Ontario County in 2023 compared to 2022.
Absolutely. And in Monroe County in 2022, we had 7,867 closed sales. And then in 2023, we had a decrease to 6,803 closed sales. So that is a decrease in Monroe County of 13.5%.
And literally, we've been talking about this. If you have listened to us, you know we keep talking about the inventory getting less and less, and we think it can't get any lower, and it does. Yeah. And this is still proving to be true, and that is a big challenge that we are seeing right now in the real estate market, is the continuing lessening of inventory, is this buyer demand that's already high. That's why we're seeing these increased sales prices, because there just is not enough homes to compete with. And those people that are selling their house and getting all of that money, they're able to take that additional $20,000 and put it toward a house, maybe if it's not necessarily on par with what one would expect, because they have the cash and they're going to do what it takes to buy a house.
Absolutely. Yep. And one thing that we're always looking at is the percentage of list price received. Mm-hmm. And this can be skewed, a few different ways. Really, it just depends on how the realtor and the seller decide to price the home. Oftentimes we see in this market, they're pricing more strategically to hopefully get that influx of buyers to bring the price up and over. So in Ontario County, we had a 104.7% list to sale price. That basically means that just under 5% on average, the house sold over asking.
So for Ontario County, let's say we're at $270,000, which is that median sales price. On average, the house is going almost $13,000 over asking, landing you at around $283,000. Mm-hmm. And then in Monroe County, it's 115% over asking. So that $235,000 average sale price is going up to $270,000, so $35,000 over the listing price. And this is such important data that we're always sharing with our clients, because they need to know what to expect. Sometimes they're going to go a couple thousand over asking. No, we're talking 20,000 over asking, and honestly, that's kind of low. I felt like that number was low, and it's a median, of course, so there may be some, and believe me, we have still gotten offers accepted with contingencies, and we've gotten offers accepted under list price, but a lot of the houses that we are seeing right now are going far above list price, and we make sure that our clients know that, and we want to make sure you're hearing that, and that's why we thought that was an important stat to include for you today.
And as we work towards 2024, the big question is, what are we expecting? We get that all the time from our friends and family and people in the community wondering, what are we looking forward to in 2024? So a big topic of conversation is always interest rates.
Yes.
We are seeing that at the end of 2023, the interest rates crept up, over 7% for a few months there. And now we're starting to see them dip down into the 6s. And a client of ours was even quoted in the 5s yesterday. So we are starting to see the interest rates are falling back down.
Which is great, but also hard because we don't need the buyers. We kept thinking as the rates were going up, the buyer pool would go down, and we didn't even see that. So now that the buyer pool, now that the interest rates are going down, there's even more of an influx of buyers. And again, it's creating a really interesting dynamic in the market.
Absolutely. High number of buyers and a low number of sellers. And that's the next key, is just that inventory continues to stay low. Buyers are out there wanting to buy, but there's just nothing for them to buy. So any new house that comes up, multiple buyers are interested in that. And one key that we continue to see is buyers say to or sellers, say to us, we'd move, but where would we go?
Yes.
And so that's creating less sellers deciding to sell their home and just stay put.
We call them the would-be sellers. Like, there are sellers that are like, I would love to sell, but where am I going to go? And especially when the rates were up closer to 8%, they're saying, I have a 3% interest rate. Why would I sell something? Why would I sell this and lose this interest rate to be able to enter into, the next 30 years or 15 to 20-year mortgage with this higher interest rate? And of course, we know you could refi. We know all those, but that's why a lot of these would-be sellers are staying. Or remember that increased equity we talked about? There are people who are saying, listen, I don't necessarily want to lose 3%. I might take out a home equity line of credit for the equity that I have now gained, and I'm going to do an addition on my house. I'm going to do things that are going to make this house the way that I want it. And so again, when they would be selling, they are not, and they're staying put because of these motivators.
Yep, absolutely. And it could be the financial side, and it could just be that buying is difficult right now in this market. And so I'm able to, take and pull that equity that I have out of my home and make it my own, so I can stay in it much longer term than going out into the competitive buyer market right now.
Yes. And so what we want to finish up with is just kind of give you some tips. So if you are a buyer and if you are a seller, what are the tips? And so I'll start first with buyers.
Great.
Okay, so if you are a buyer, the number one thing we know is so important if you are headed into 2024 with buying on your radar is to know your numbers. Know your numbers inside and out, because when you go in and you're competing for a home, you need to be as aggressive as you can, but be comfortable with it. And you need to make decisions pretty quickly. And when there's emotion tied into it, it's hard. But if you know your numbers, like we said, inside and out, you're going to be able to say, okay, this is my max. I'm willing to go up here. But if I lose it because I couldn't go that extra 5,000, it was the right decision for our family. So knowing numbers inside and out.
Yep. And be prepared to be aggressive. This is something that we see sometimes takes a little bit for buyers to understand. But if you're watching this, you're already educated based on the information we just gave you above about where generally homes are selling for. And look at the specifics and, contact our team, have your realtor look at the specifics of the homes that you're looking to buy and what traditionally is happening. So you're educated the first time you put an offer in where prices are going.
Yes. The other thing we always tell buyers too is we do not like this. We hate it as much as you do, we assure you, but you're probably going to have to waive the inspection. Again, not always. We do have situations where we've had buyers be able to have an inspection. But the reality is, like, we shared in our other video on the Homebuyer Dream Grant, is the likelihood adding any contingency to an offer is going to put you in a tough spot. When you have two terms that are identical and one has an inspection contingency and one doesn't, you're probably going to lose.
I say this all the time. The less contingencies, the better. Sometimes I even have people, when I'm reviewing offers for our sellers, that put in requests for permits. And the buyer doesn't even really care, but their realtor just put a permit request in there. And that could be the difference of them losing a home. Oftentimes I have to go back to the buyer's agent and say, do you really want that permit? And they're like, nope, we'll take it off. But if I didn't ask that, we wouldn't have known. So the less contingencies, the better. Be sure that you're educating yourself on what you need to do. And it's all going to be each home dependent. Is there a lot of competition where you need to really put your best foot forward, or are you the only offer and we can, get away with some of those requests?
Yes. The other thing we're telling our buyers too is to make sure your realtor, and this is what we do all the time, make sure your realtor is connecting with the listing agent, so the seller's agent, to say, how do we win? It could be something as simple as, hey, the quicker the close, the better, and we're trying to put in as tight of a close as possible. Or you could say, actually, they would like to stay in the house a little bit longer. Can we do a delayed close, or could we do a post-possession? You don't know if you don't ask, and you could have it, you could write terms that you think are the best, but if they really wanted this one particular weekend for a closing date, you could lose just because you didn't ask. So making sure that your agent is asking about everything from personal property to closing dates to anything else you can think of.
Moving situation. Some people are, really want this light fixture, and if you didn't put it in and you didn't ask, then you weren't able to bring the strongest offer to the table. So that's really important. And making sure that you're not maybe limiting yourself on your lower end of your budget as well. So be sure that you're searching houses that are under your desirable price point as well. Just because of properties selling up and over, that's something you want to keep in mind too.
So when you know your numbers inside out, you're saying, hey, 250,000 is my max. We don't want you searching at 250,000.
Right.
Yes, we will look at those properties and we will make sure that we're keeping them on our radar, but most likely you're going to want to be looking between 200 and 225 so that you can really win by going up to 250. So keeping your search criteria in mind, and like we said, keep an open mind with that.
Of course. And make sure you're using those delayed negotiations windows. Keeping an eye on those. If you see a house that you like, but maybe it's a little bit above your price range, keeping a pulse on it to see if it does sell on that deadline of Monday morning, or does it make it through and maybe you can get a second shot at it. That's really important to keep an eye on that and not assume that everything's selling during the delayed window.
So those are our trends and recommendations if you are a buyer coming into 2024. So Abby, what about a seller in 2024? What are some things they need to keep their eyes open for?
Well, like always, pricing is so important. You want to make sure that you're following your realtor when they come with a market analysis and their recommended list price. You want to make sure that you're doing your own research based on trends in your neighborhood, and any active comparable sales, recent comparable sales, and everything in between. Find a pricing strategy that is going to work for you to ultimately get you the most money at the end of the day.
And to work off that pricing strategy too, identify if you want to use delayed negotiations. So this is a whole Fridays with Friends episode as well, but delayed negotiations is your way that you can say, hey, we're going to list the property on Wednesday, but we're going to give buyers the opportunity to come in, and we are telling them up front that we will not be reviewing offers until Monday, for example. And that allows maybe those clients that are working Thursday and Friday, maybe those clients that are away, they are still able to view the property, and there's this energy, excitement, and kind of emotional buildup that really bodes well for you and for the offers that you might be receiving. So potentially utilizing delayed negotiations, and make sure you know that's a tactic available to you in this market.
Yes, absolutely. And still making sure that you're showing the home in the best light possible. Some people might say, I don't need professional pictures. I don't need to stage or deep clean my home, or whatever it might be for your specific home. But at the end of the day, we still want to stage it, make sure we're having the professional photography, a strong online presence, all of the marketing as well to show the home in the best light possible.
Yes. And then the last thing is to make sure you as a seller are understanding all the variety of terms that you can use to your negotiation power. So we've had people that wanted to buy a new build, and we can literally say, could we have someone that could do a post-possession for 4 months? Could we are looking for this unique situation, and can we find it? Don't be afraid to ask. You as the seller, it is a strong seller's market. Now, every specific neighborhood and price point, you have your uniqueness to you. But in general, you can be asking for these unique terms and making sure when you're reviewing offers, you're acknowledging and looking at all those different terms that the buyer can bring forth to really customize to making sure it's good for you, depending on your situation. So there's so many terms to know about, and making sure you're not afraid to ask for those for the buyer to know about.
And as an agent, what we do is we put together a whole spreadsheet of all the terms in the offer. So we're not just saying, hey, here's the best price. We're looking at closing date, rent back, if you need one of those, personal property, as we've talked about, who's their lender, what type of financing are they using, are they asking for an inspection, all those things to make sure that you're getting the best offer for you.
Yes. So that's all about 2023
Yeah.
and some quick trends for 2024. This is our second Fridays with Friends video in 2024, and we are excited to be able to continue this on. If you have any topics you want to learn more about, if you have any other questions or ideas for us to chat on, we are excited to start this back up. And as always, we're here to help. So thanks for tuning in to Friday with Friends. Friday with Friends is our opportunity to chat about real estate, answer any questions you may have, so that if you have any real estate needs, we'd love the opportunity to be your realtor of choice. You can find us wherever you're listening to this video. You can message us. You can find us on social media. friendonyourside.com is our website, and we always look forward to helping however we can.
Thank you.
Thanks
Bye.
for tuning in.